Thanks for staying with us. So to join this hot conversation is our guest, Dr. Dipo Awojide, popularly known as Ogbeni Dipo. We'll be discussing, sharing with us his thoughts on this Nigerian political dynasty issue we started conversing about before you came in. What are your thoughts on it? We've compared it to the American dynasties and see how families are engaged, see siblings, generation to generations are being part of politics. But Mariam said, in cases where you are appointed, it's different from when you're actually elected. So what are your thoughts on this political dynasties?
Yeah, so I think, so the fact that your father or your family, has a very good name, maybe you've been a governor or a minister or, something in the past, doesn't mean that you cannot take up a position in government, either elected or appointed. But it must be said that everything has to be based on competence. So if you are competent, if you are good enough, for any role, either appointed or elected, I think it's okay to actually go for it.
But the moral card of, just because we don't want them to say that I'm making it about my family members, so therefore I should sacrifice my competent son or daughter for the sake of the perception.
Yeah, so with morality, it's difficult to, people have different moral codes, just like cultures and religions. And what guides one person might not be what guides the next person. But there are also universal codes that we all must abide by. I mean, I heard some of the examples that you gave earlier. Bello El-Rufai, for example, is a completely different person from Nasir El-Rufai. And I can say this because he was former manager at Uwawe in Abuja. He was former legislative aide to Basani, who is now governor in Kaduna State. And now is a performing House of Rep members. So does he have the competence? Yes. Should he not have put himself forward because he's a Nasir El-Rufai son? No. So
but would you say that Nigerians are not matured enough to that point? Because if we're in a different country, for example, we might respect the fact that he's qualified. But where we are, because we still need to be seen to be a certain way. Maybe our democracy is such that we just don't want it to be as a Tope sister. All we can see is Tope sister. We're not seeing that she's qualified. We're just seeing that it's Tope sister. So maybe that's where we are.
Let me quickly add to that. In that, Mariam said something, and you also sort of alluded to it, that the moral compass thing might not work because each person, based on their background, might decide on how they want to view what is moral to them. And they can say that, yes, you might think it's not moral, but for me, I value the competence of the person I can trust more than what you think is moral. How about making it a constitutional thing where we are not appointing family members or direct relatives or indirect relatives in a conflict of interest situation into a position that would indirectly benefit you, like appointing your brother-in-law or appointing yours, like appointing people that their wealth is coming can flow legally, like
that
we make it a law.
Is that reality or perception?
Reality.
No, so I think there has to be a balance, because you don't want to rule me out because my dad was so and so 5 years ago. If I have what it takes to actually take up a position, in the health sector or the education sector, for example, if I have the education, the skills, the competencies, and the capabilities, why should I be ruled out? So if there's ever going to be a legislation to that effect, we have to think about everything, in a very holistic way. Okay, think about the advantages, think about the disadvantages. Okay, does that mean that if my dad has built his own career and retired as a director in the presidency, then I shouldn't, work for government?
While you're talking, I remember that when I was with my dad said something like, I'm not leaving money for you, Mariah, I'm leaving a name. Now, what does that mean now? Because if my father says, all I'm leaving for you is your name, because I expect that my name will open doors for you.
Yes.
Now, we're saying that name should not open doors for you because we don't want, because you're Alawa Kabasha's child. I don't care who you are.
Exactly.
I have, so is that what we're saying? Because when we keep telling people that I have a good name is better than riches, what do we mean exactly?
But in reality, Our family names, our family backgrounds and pedigrees are social capitals that we carry
We
about.
must-
And we agree. Well, I think we all agree
That's
with
the
that.
reality.
I don't want people to, before people not think that that's what...
So we also have different aspects of
that wasn't what I
No,
was...
I think, you raised an important point. I don't think you were wrong. And it's because of the dangers and the risks that would lie in bringing people so close to you, what it could portend for the bigger picture. But the thing is, in this case, whether we like it or not, the burden is on the electorate.
Yes.
You will finally decide if the name is such a big deal to you. Then when a party puts that person on their card, X them.
Yeah.
Don't do anything, and then maybe next time too, when they're not going to put another person on their platform, they'll be careful the sort of person that they feel will appeal to Nigerians.
Yeah.
But it's a valid fear that how am I sure that these people are not in some sort of family arrangement to make sure that the resources of my country siphoned through this.
Yeah.
So it's a...
I think one of the key points is we can actually consider this issue, on an issue by issue basis. So if someone is a junkie, for example, who is not competent, because there are children of rich men, politicians, who they've sent abroad and they have wasted their lives. Yep. So if they are a junkie, they haven't achieved anything in their own personal, oh, my father, you are now 35 or 36. You can't be carrying that, and that cannot be the only thing, that family name. So on an issue-by-issue basis, if someone is competent enough, they are well-educated, they have the skills, why not?
Okay. I think we've been able to thrash this issue the best. Let me comment on social media before I wrap up on this, before we move on to our next one.
Ade Baptist is saying that the reality is it affects all sectors of the society. He says that just like the other time when people attacked Adeboye's son for his motivational speech on business, I remember that. They said even in the Bible, Eli used his sons as priests, but guess what? His children never walked in his footsteps, as in they were not worthy. Same thing for Samuel, who his children too were not good in following in his footsteps, but they were appointed. Should we continue to allow it in politics? No, the only way is the electorate to stand up like the last election.
Just like I like that comment, because you've seen it in various banks. The chairman of a bank gets his son to come in to be MD, bringing, these are all things we've seen in politics, in churches. The general overseer grazes his son, So
I have one example.
There? So,
don't laugh at me. Beyonce's daughter is dancing with top-rate dancers on a world tour. It's her mother's platform.
But that's a personal thing, not our Commonwealth.
The other dancers will be like, do you know how many years it took me to get to this platform?
But it's not our platform.
But do you know that churches can be seen as Commonwealth?
Yes. And
Churches, so I'm just saying that, but the point is that whether we like it or not, where we are right now, we've not reached the phase where we have a system. I mean, I know Redeem is the system. Redeem RCC doesn't belong to any family. So it's been handed over to a different family. So we don't know which family is going to take it over. But there are other churches that are owned by a man or a woman. And they are, we saw a synagogue or something that the wife is in that church now. So these are things. So where we are as a nation, I guess, is something that we understand, but at the same time, we must ensure that corruption, that we are also very, very objective in this choice we make, so people don't feel as if they are being sidelined, if indeed they are qualified. And thus, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.